This might be the fastest time I have ever got a purple keycard in Ghosts of Tabor. And it wasn't even mine. Today's raid wasn't anything special. I had no plans, I didn't want to bring any special gear in, I just kind of wanted to see what would happen. So the perfect place for that is the island of Tabor. And I don't know what it is recently, but I've been loving the SKS. It's the perfect all-rounder gun. The accuracy, the damage, and the amount of bullets it can carry. It's just perfect, and it's cheap. I spawned on the beach just on the edge of prison, and now usually I would go towards the main building, but today I decided to switch it up. Typically what happens is I'd get to the main building first, see if there's a GPU, and then hold my ground and fight off any enemies arriving. But today I had a different idea. I figured I might as well head to the left side of prison just to see if there's anybody coming. Now, given that this is a pretty unusual tactic, I figured it would give me the upper hand. Seeing as I only had a backpack and an SKS, I had to be quite tactical with this, so sticking to cover and sneaking around was my best bet. And lo and behold, there was somebody there. And that was my first mistake. I pulled the SKS off the wall before even thinking about how many bullets I had in it. But luckily, I had the sense to bring a pistol with me. My tactical decision to go around the side rather than go to the main building turned out to be very beneficial. Sorry dude, I'm also going to take a shotgun bullet as well, cause you never know. With our first enemy down, I had to make a decision. Do I run the purple keycard and try and get myself some loot, or do I keep the purple keycard and secure it for another raid? And I figured, seeing as we're so early into the raid, I might as well keep it and run with it. You never know what's going to happen. As I was approaching the main building, everything seemed weirdly quiet. By this point, there's usually somebody coming through the gates or coming over the hill, but there was nothing. So I decided to let my guard down a bit, and it's quite lucky that there was no one around because it turns out I don't know how to open doors. And in this one, you had to pull it open. Yes, I know, stupid. Once inside, I decided to do the safer bet and have a look around first to see if there's any medical supplies, as well as that holy GPU. And sorry for the spoilers, but there was absolutely nothing here. So the time had come. It's time to use the purple keycard and see what loot we can get. Now at this point, I was on high alert. You never know who's going to be making their way to prison. To start off, we found some armor, and then a mag and a power brick. Nothing too fancy, but then we found a higher tiered piece of armor. Then we found 2 night vision goggles, pretty low tier, but it's better than nothing. Now you might notice that I'm picking up absolutely everything, because seeing as wipe has just happened, it's ideal to get as much cash as possible, and all those little crooners add up. At this point I'm realizing the loot isn't the best. There's a couple mags, couple grips and little bits like that, but nothing impressive. And as it is still really early into the raid, I'm thinking I might use that orange key card for a quick escape. However, in the last 2 crates we found a box of one-shot energy chews and a walkie-talkie, which I didn't have space for, but don't worry, I figured it out. I tried to fit the second pair of night vision goggles in my bag, but it was just too cluttered, so I just threw them away, because honestly, they're not really that worth it. But now was the time to escape. After having a quick glance around, I decided to make a run for it. At this point, I didn't know which extraction point I'd have, so I'd have to make a calculated bet. After listening around some more, I still couldn't hear any gunshots and I couldn't hear any footsteps. Here is a slight tip for you. Never open the gate straight away. If you're on this side, look to this side, because you never know who or what you might see. In this case, it's just an NPC. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good. There's no one around, I got a backpack full of some easy loot, and I killed a guy for his purple keycard. I am on a Ghosts of Tabor high. Given how big the island of Tabor is, and because I'm on my own, Ghosts of Tabor becomes a walking simulator. So for your sake, I'm going to speed this footage up. Getting closer and closer to the extraction point, once again, was dead silent. There was no one around, and I was feeling pretty relaxed. I found myself hiding in a bush waiting for the raid timer to start, but I got pretty bored. I'm not the type of player just to sit around and do nothing. So I had to find a more comfortable and safer place to stay. And the nearest place is the church. When I arrived at the church, I listened around a little bit and couldn't hear any footsteps, but the more I began to walk around, the more I had noticed the place had been looted. Assuming that the coast was clear, I decided to make my way up the tower using this very, very legit tactic. Trust me, it works. Seeing that there was nobody there, I knew it was time to relax and just enjoy that Ghosts of Tabor view. And I definitely didn't fall down the ladder once and get my gun stuck for a good 5 to 10 minutes. The only problem with getting this much loot this early into a raid is you get pretty bored, so as you can see, I'm just pretending to shoot people from miles away using a double-barreled shotgun. And there I was, sat on the top of the church tower, waiting for the timer to start, and also just trying to find something to do. I found this little knife holder for as much as I use knives, and decided to stick it on my armor because, what's the harm? But then I made the stupid decision of trying to unload the shotgun, and the bullets fell out and fell through the floor, so I had no shotgun. I went out on watch to see if I could hear or see anything, but it was completely dead. So at this point, I'm just sat playing on my phone in real life, waiting for the timer to start, and then head off. Here is another Ghosts of Tabor tip. Whenever you find a bandage, take it. In this case, I knew my extract point was just around the corner, so I was pretty safe. However, always carry a bandage with you. I can't explain how many times I have died just simply due to bleeding. Yes, you might win an epic fight against 1v3, but if you die because you bled out, that's just embarrassing. And speaking of embarrassing, I checked my watch and turns out I was at the wrong exfil site. In hindsight, I should have realised that exfil was too close to me and I should have headed to docks. However, it was definitely the safer bet, but now we have to make the dangerous route of going through the main facility building. And seeing as we're here, we might as well make the most of it, because hey, what's risk without any reward? The main thing I wanted to check is that if there was a GPU left behind, and as expected, there wasn't. But it's always good to look through the drawers and look through the different cabinets because you never know what you might find. You might have missed that, but that was an NPC firing, which tells me there's a player nearby. And luckily, because I'm in the garage, I can go down the stairs and head to that orange exfil room with that keycard we found earlier. I threw a smoke grenade in front of me just to kind of cover the doorway in case somebody comes down the stairs and sees me leaving. This entire raid had seemed pretty quiet. Given the few pieces of loot we got from this orange keycard room, I'd say it's been a pretty successful raid. The countdown started and I saw something pretty cursed, so I'm going to show you as well. That is a raw submachine gun with no details on it. What the f? Rest in peace to the guy's purple keycard I stole. I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't really that worth it, but a purple keycard is a purple keycard. And now starts the daunting process of moving everything around and selling what we don't need and just trying to be a bit more organized. Because I've seen some of your bunkers, they are a state. To kick things off, I'm moving all of the little pieces which I could sell later or could possibly trade in for missions later on. Honestly, I'm not too sure what's what, so I kind of put the stuff that I do know just to one side. Despite the wipe only just starting, I think my bunker is looking pretty clean. If you want a full bunker tour, let me know. And in case you didn't know, these drawers actually open. I personally just use them for grips and possibly pouches, but it's up to you. So as you can see, I found a couple of silencers, a couple of grips, and then I found this mag, which I was sure I recognized. And as it turns out, I've already got 2 of those guns. I've never shot them, but they look pretty cool, so I figured I'd might as well keep them. You can't go wrong with more bullets, but it's always good to stay organized. Generally speaking, I only keep the bullets on the shelves for the guns I most actively use, so this is entirely up to you. If you haven't started crafting your own bullets yet, I highly recommend it. Is a total game changer, especially if you find some AP powder. Now, I know things at the bottom of the rack look a bit disorganized, but as soon as I open up the second weapon storage, that's when things will become a bit more organized, and this room will either be for the rare or collectible items, or just the guns I mainly use, and the other one will just be used for everything else. And with that last grip being put away, I can now check out my one-shot engine toolbox. If you actually want to pick some of these up for yourself in real life, be sure to use the code TIME4VR. I actually had a couple loose packets of these just lying about, so it's time to get a bit more organized and put them in the box and leave them for another day. Very nice. And last but not least, let's put away this beautiful piece of armor right where it belongs. So after all that, I would say it's a pretty short and pretty successful raid. Once again, sorry for the guys whose purple keycard I stole, but it is what it is. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, be sure to press subscribe. I've had a pretty big change of heart since my last Ghosts of Tabor video. This update seems to have optimized everything and it's made the game fun again. So if you haven't checked it out yet, be sure to do so.